Hi, and welcome to the channel. This is Math Whimsy, and my name is Lisa. I've been a longtime math teacher, and I'm ready to solve some problems. Let's get started. Now, before we begin, there is the matter of roll call. Your attendance question for the day is, if the first four prime numbers had personalities like contestants on Big Brother, what would they be? One other thing I wanted to add is that if you go into the description, there's a link to download a file and print it. You can follow along with your own notes, and that way you can have a reference that you can look back on at any time. We go through the definitions as well as examples of how to do the questions, and then finally some tips and tricks to help you through. I hope this helps. Happy learning. Before we get into it, we need to understand a couple of terms in order to understand what it is that we're doing when we're prime factorizing. So, what is the difference between prime numbers, denoted by these colorful cubes, and composite numbers, denoted by these neutral cubes? Well, prime numbers are fundamental building blocks of math, which means they're numbers that cannot be broken down any further by division. They're only divisible by 1 and themselves. Whereas composite numbers, for example, the number 210, can be broken down further. It's divisible by 70, it's divisible by 2, by 3, by 5, and it's actually divisible by a plethora of prime numbers that can be grouped together. So, prime numbers are numbers that cannot be broken down by division anymore, and composite numbers are ones that can. You'll notice that we're particularly working with only positive whole numbers. We are not working with the number 0, and we're also not working with the number 1 because the number 1 slips through the cracks. It neither qualifies as a prime nor a composite. Now that we have an understanding of what prime and composite numbers are, we also need to understand what factors are. Factors are numbers that are divisible into a larger number. Every number has factors, even prime numbers. For example, the number 5 has factors 1 and 5. So the number 5 is divisible by 1 and 5. The number 14 is a composite number, and that number is divisible by 1 and 14, as well as 2 and 7. And since multiplication is commutative, which means the order that you multiply numbers in doesn't matter, you don't have to say that the number 14 is also divisible by 7 and 2. Okay, so we've established prime numbers and we've established composite numbers. So what is prime factorization? Well, prime factorization is taking a composite number and breaking it down into its fundamental blocks. So taking a composite number and breaking it down until it's only made up of prime numbers, a multiplication or a product of prime numbers. The first composite number we're going to start with is the number 12. So write down the number that you are breaking down on the left-hand side of your page, and then draw a vertical line to split your page up into two different columns. Now there's a couple of rules to remember when you're doing this. The vertical line is going to represent division. So any number that we write on the right-hand side of the column, we are going to perform a division with 12 and that number. On the right-hand side of your line, you are only allowed to do prime numbers. So only prime numbers can be written on the right-hand side of that line. So we're going to start with which prime number the number 12 is divisible by. And I like to start with the smallest one. So 12 is divisible by 2. We're going to write the number 2 on the right-hand side of that column, since 2 is a prime number. We're going to perform the division. 12 divided by 2 is 6. The result we're going to carry down into the left-hand side of the column and rewrite it. This is going to become our new number that we are prime factorizing. And we continue this process. Now 6 is still an even number. It's divisible by 2. So once again, I'm going to write down 2 over here and we're going to perform that division. 6 divided by 2 is 3. And even though 3 is not a composite number, I'm still going to carry it down and write it down on the left-hand side. because we want to have all of our prime factors displayed in a nice ordered column up here. We need to make sure we end with our final prime number. Since 3 is a prime number, we are going to go ahead and do one final division. 3 divided by 3 is 1. And your goal is always to end on a 1 on the left-hand side of your column. So the number 12 can be written as a product, that means multiplication, of your prime factors 2 times 2 times 3. Or another way to depict this, since we have a group of 2's, we can use exponents to shorten this. So 2 to the power of 2 times 3. All right, we're going to go a little bit quicker now. The number we're prime factorizing is the number 60. We go ahead and write the number 60 on the left-hand side and draw a vertical line beside it. On the right-hand side, you're only allowed to use prime numbers, and I'm going to start with the number 2. 60 divided by 2 is 30. You'll notice I'm not annotating as much as I was the last time because this is really all you need. Keep going. 30 is still divisible by 2, so we're going to continue that process. 30 divided by 2 is 15. 15 is divisible by 5 or 3. It actually doesn't matter which number you choose. So I'm going to go ahead with 5. 15 divided by 5 is 3. And because we've ended on a prime number and we want to end on a 1, we're going to perform one final division. 3 divided by 3 is 1. Now, when I write the factors of 60, I'm going to write them in order of ascending number, ascending prime factor. So we're going to start with the smallest prime factor, 2. And because there's 2 of them, I'm going to go 2 squared, 2 to the power of 2. The next number is 3, and the next number is 5. But because multiplication is commutative, it really does not matter what order you write these numbers in. It's just nice to have them a little bit more cleaned up. So what have we learned? Well, we learned about the two types of numbers, prime numbers and composite numbers. We also learned about factors and how to fully prime factorize a number, that is, break it down into its fundamental building blocks. Remember at the beginning of the lesson, I asked you an attendance question. If the first 4 prime numbers had personalities like contestants on Big Brother, what would they be? Thank you for participating. Class dismissed. Joke's on you. It's a wood screw.